there's a bunch of protocols kind of like capped together, but we're actually in the middle of revamping the website just on the meat stack.
Right here. The dressy guy.
Yeah,
excellent. Sure. I'm hiring an interaction designer right now with a data visualization, and then we're also hiring front-end developers. There's a mobile. I think we're also hiring a mobile product manager. No, the product one is a product position. That's not a design position. Yeah, it's on our website. It's a product mobile product delivery manager. I think is the title. Check it out. Yeah. What's that? John Stoffer. We're gonna get started soon. If you guys want to get comfortable, we're gonna get started. Hello. Excuse me. Okay. Go ahead and make yourselves comfortable. We're gonna get started. It's the rowdy kitchen. Hey gang, go ahead and make yourselves comfortable. Grab a seat, and we're gonna get started. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. We've got a full agenda this evening. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me in the back? Can you guys hear me good? I'm pretty sure I'm blasting these poor guys' ears out. They're sitting by the mic. I feel like I should be doing karaoke. Okay, welcome to NoVA UX, to our October meetup. Tonight is a sketch double feature. Hey, come in and grab a seat. So you are currently, if you're not sure, you are currently at Add This. If you're here for a front point meetup, you're at the wrong place. They're downstairs. And I'm thinking there's probably going to be some folks realizing they're at the wrong event downstairs and will be coming up shortly. But anyway, this is Add This. We connect brands and publishers with their customers. You might have seen our tools. We're on 15 million websites all over the world. We see about 4 billion views a day. We sharing tools, follow tools, content recommendations, marketing conversion tools. And then we also do products and data products for businesses, agencies, advertisers, and that sort of thing. I'll be talking more about that in a little bit because we are indeed hiring, not to shock anybody. So let's see. So first things first, I'm doing this from Evernote here. So my name is Jim Lane. I'm the Vice President of User Experience at Add This. I lead the design team here. I'm also the organizer and founder of the group. Will King, where's Will at? There's Will. Will is my co-organizer, all-around helper. Jake Thomas is downstairs, I think, right now, helping out at the door. He's also our lead talent guy. So if you're ever interested in Add This and what we do, he's a tall guy in a t-shirt downstairs, but you can talk to him. He'll be up here a little bit later. So here is some admin information. If you'd like to connect to our Wi-Fi, it is AT Internet, capital A, capital T, capital I. The password is addthis1595. That's the street address with an exclamation mark at the end. So please feel free to connect if you'd like. Please take pictures, tweet, Instagram, whatever your little heart desires. We love the social media help. It helps us grow. We passed up, just an hour and a half ago, we passed up 1,900 members, which is pretty freaking cool. We're on a trajectory to pass 2,000 by the end of the year, which is pretty neat. So we've been growing like crazy, which is great. Let's see, what else? So if you would like to tweet as we go, this is Galya, Todor's, and then their company Sketch Sources. Those are their Twitter handles and their URL. Max's handle is Maxim Ignatiev. That's an I, not an L. and his company Sympli_IO with a Y, not an I. And a big thanks to Etain Group. They'll be talking to us in a little bit. They provided the food this evening, and it's not pizza. Hashtag not pizza. How cool is that? How cool is that? I've been asking for months, and finally someone took me up on it. I love it. And of course, This provides the space every month. They provide the beverages and stuff, so we really, really appreciate it. My employer is awesome. So let's see. We are doing a raffle tonight. We're going to be giving away 3 copies of Sketch at the end. So those licenses like $100 each, which is pretty cool. So if you haven't already and you'd like to, please write your name on one of those pieces of paper and toss it in the raffle box that looks a lot like a post office box, because it is. We'll pull 3 names at the end and give away 3 copies of Sketch. And that's thanks to Sketch, Bohemian Coding, which Galya just became community manager for, which is really cool. We'll be hearing more about that in a little bit. So a couple of questions first. So we're gonna get all the business out of the way at the beginning. We'll do the talks at the end. We'll give away the copies, and then we'll all kind of just mingle for a bit. So some business to take care of. How many people are first time? Who've never been here before? It's about a third. Okay, cool, excellent. How many? Here's another question. How many people took the silver line? 3. I think we passed 5 last month. It was a new record. Pretty amazing. We expected a huge silver line showing, and so far it hasn't panned out, but that's okay. Okay, so this is the part we do every month for the benefit of folks who happen to be looking. Who is hiring? Raise your hand. I'm going to have you stand up. Just really, really briefly, what are you hiring for? Who are you looking for? So that folks know to come and find you at the end if they want to talk to you, because we'll have a lot of designers here tonight. So gentlemen in the back.
With 3 Pillar Global at Fairfax, we're hiring 2 user experience designers, one with focus on visual design and one with focus on user research.
Visual design, user research, 3 Pillar Global. Excellent. Who else? Who else is hiring? Really, just the one? Wow. Oh, John, there you go.
Well, we are always hiring. I'll talk a little more about Etain Group here in just a bit. We have a lot of great clients in the area. No matter what your skill set is, we'd love to talk to you. We might not have something open for you today, but we're always interested in growing our networks and find out what you all want to do. And if that ever comes across our desk, we want to be able to call you and let you know.
Fantastic. Is Sarah from Peer Hustle here by any chance? All right, I'll give her a shout out anyway. Sarah from Peer Hustle sent me a note asking if I could give a quick shout out. I believe it is a service for freelance designers to kind of connect and find freelance work together. So freelance network, something like that. So check them out. I haven't seen the site myself, but she did ask to give a quick shout out. So it's called Peer Hustle. So check them out. And lastly, let's see. These are for our speakers' benefit. How many folks here tonight are designers primarily? Wow. Okay, so I should ask the opposite question of how many people are not designers, of developers, product people? So okay, so mostly designers. Cool, awesome. All right, let me think the best way to do this. How many people are Sketch beginners? Fair number. Okay. How many are say intermediate experience with Sketch? Handful. And fairly advanced Sketch users? Okay, so there's your answer. So somewhat introductory group. All right, fantastic. John, so every month I stand up here and say, won't somebody please do something other than pizza? John rose to the challenge and set us up with Mediterranean this evening. So really, really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. John is from Etain Group, and he's going to talk for a second about Etain Group.
Happy birthday! I don't need a microphone. You want me to use the microphone? I don't need the microphone. All right, can you guys hear me without the microphone? All right, cool. So again, I work for Etain Group. We are a talent solutions company based in Reston. We do IT, creative IT, healthcare IT, staffing, and professional services. Like I just mentioned, no matter what your skill set, we're always looking to grow our network. Even if we don't have a position that is right for you today, we might have it tomorrow, we might have it next week, we might have it next year. Love to talk to you about what you're doing now, what you want to do. And if that comes across our desk, like I said, we want to be able to call you. So whether you are someone who wants to see what's out in the market, somebody's looking for a new job, please come find me. I have 2 of my team here tonight, Jasmine and Nick. Raise your hands, wave, smile. So find one of the 3 of us. If you are a hiring manager in need of finding good talent, which I know is hard to do here in this area, please come talk to me. Love to talk to you about how we operate, how we do things, how we might be able to help you out either now or in the future. So I have cards up here. We've written some information on the board in the back. Like that, if you want to talk about one of the 3 of us, I want to thank Jim, as always, being very hospitable for us here at E10 Group and always putting on a good show here. And enjoy.
Thanks. Excellent. Thank you. Wow. I'm going to try it out tonight, too. Hey, Maurice, did you want to say, you missed the hiring part like 2 minutes ago. Did you
I did? I walked right up to that?
Yeah, man. Just almost missed it. Maurice is a buddy of mine. He's also looking for a designer.
So my name is Maurice Boissier. I actually used to work here. And myself and a co-founder are starting a company to build an app for happiness. And what we're looking for is some UX and UI help that help us take a fairly complex science of happiness and bake it into a dead simple experience for end users. So we just got started, and we consider the UX to kind of be the key piece here. So if it piques your curiosity, please see me and see how we can maybe collaborate.
Excellent. Fantastic. Yeah, you bet. So like I said, after the talks this evening, we'll be hanging around, having another beer and mingling. So any of the folks tonight who said they're looking for someone, or if you're just meeting some of us or some of our speakers, will be around you. Also, at this, every month at this lets us use this space, which is awesome. This is where we have lunch every day. They bring in lunch while sitting here in the cafeteria. But we do several meetups, Big Data DC, this meetup, Cassandra, and a couple other ones. So they're always gracious. They let us use the space and the beverages and everything else. Really appreciate it. We are hiring as well. I am looking for an interaction designer with an emphasis in data visualization and storytelling with data from my team. We are also looking for front-end developers, and we're also looking for some mobile product manager, product delivery manager as well. Those and other positions are on our website, addis.com/careers. Go check it out. We would love to talk to you. So that's my plug for Addis. And let's see, with that, I think we are about set to go. So tonight we're going to hear from 2 speakers. Second, we're going to hear from Sympli. So they can probably tell you this better than I can, but a collaboration plugin for Sketch to help designers and developers work together more closely. And Max is going to talk to you all about that. But first, we're going to hear from the folks at Sketch App Sources. So, Galya, you're going to start first.
Yes, I will start.
And then, I'm right here. There you are. Let's get you all set up while she talks.
Awesome. So I can project as well. Can you guys hear me? Yes? Good. All right. So my name is Galya. I'm the co-founder of Sketch App Sources with Todor. And but I also am part of Sketch. Just recently I joined Sketch and I came community efforts. So meaning I love to meet you guys, especially you beginners, intermediate, advanced, and talk to you, receive feedback, feature requests, just see how is it going, is it making your workflow easier. So come talk to me, let me know how you're enjoying Sketch, any questions you guys have. We like to be active in our communities and listen to them to improve the tool. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying Sketch so far. Yeah? Yes. Awesome. That's good to hear. We're also local to the DC area, and I've come to NoVA UX many times before, so it's a pleasure to be here as a speaker. And Sketch did compliment the Sketch, so 3 licenses being raffled off tonight. I really hope if you have not had a chance yet to enter your name in there, and we're going to give away 3 licenses today. So hopefully somebody that doesn't have one or someone that will be able to pass a Sketch license to someone else. So thank you so much, and come meet me after the event. I'd love to talk to you guys, and I'll turn it over to Todor. Yeah.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi.
Can you hear me? I think so. Okay, all right. So let's get started. Okay, so I think we asked how many beginners, advanced, and intermediate Sketch users are there, but how many of you have actually been to Sketch App Sources? Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. So at least some folks. Okay, so my name is Todor. Galya and I run Sketch App Sources. We have been doing this now for about 2 2 years. We were early adopters of Sketch, and we just saw a lot of potential in the design community. And we were able to put together a bunch of articles, tutorials, tips, and I'm going to be talking to you about those today. So to get started, let's switch screens here. Okay, all right. So what we're going to start first is we're going to start with just diving into Sketch. And because a lot of you are just beginners or haven't used Sketch before, I'm gonna start with some basics. So Sketch is what used to be complex to do in Photoshop is really simple in Sketch, because Sketch takes a very different approach. In Photoshop's interface, you have a lot of toggles and settings and things that you can lose your way playing with. Sketch is a lot cleaner, meaning that a lot of the essential things for prototyping mobile interfaces are available, and nothing else. There is nothing else that will just let you go on a rabbit hole. So I'm going to start here showing you some things that you can do with Sketch. So Sketch. This is the interface. It has a toolbar on top that's customizable. Not many people know this, but you can actually, there is a bunch of other settings and options that you can drag here. If you're creating different shapes, you can join the shapes, flatten them. You can do Boolean operations. You can create symbols. And this is something that not many people know about the toolbar. On this side here, we have the layers. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start just creating some layers, just show how this works. So very similar to what you may have experienced with Photoshop, you can just create different shapes. You can just create different shapes. But what's very powerful about Sketch is that you can create artboards. Artboards are defining, if you have done designs for mobile, artboards are defining kind of the views. So what I want to show you here is a bunch of different artboards. So Sketch has these predefined artboard settings, and just with one click, you can see how here I was able to create a bunch of artboards for prototyping a mobile design, tablet, desktop, or even higher definition. So something that not many people realize about Sketches, and I think what is going to be better is, because just staring at this blank screen can be very boring. Why don't we go to the website and just download some resource? So on our website, we have a lot of different free resources, UI kits, icons, buttons. There's also a lot of tutorials and tips and plugins, which I'll get to later. So I'm going to go ahead and download this mail application, and I will show you I'll show you how we can customize some things there. So I've already downloaded this file. So the beauty of Sketch is that you can really easily duplicate elements, and you can very easily work on a very large project in one single file. Right here, not many people know this, but actually there is a pages view, and in these pages you can separate different flows of your app. So you can have your onboarding process, you can have different flows, you can have just a bunch of different elements of what actually constitutes the app. So what I want to show you is a feature that some people will find very useful but may not know about it. Because Sketch takes advantage of the time machine software on Mac, you can actually go back and you can explore previous versions of a file that you've been working on, which is extremely helpful if you're working with your team on if you're working on a team on a project that goes through multiple iterations. You can go back in time and see and revert to any change that you have done in the past. So instead of having multiple new sketch file, or if you remember, like you name something like prototype, final prototype, prototype, final 2, and so forward. I'm sure you're probably familiar with this. You can just use this. You can just use this feature to go back in time and see how you've done. So I am not going to restore to anything. Okay, let's see. So another thing that is very popular in Sketch is the ability to use styles and symbols. Styles or symbols are these common elements that you actually wish you knew about before you created gazillion artboards. When you create a style or symbol, this is actually a feature that can be shared and updated on all of your views. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you that if you want, let's say you've created this mail application, and let's say that you want to experiment with the different header color, you can select. Oh, and I forgot to turn. I actually can do this. I can cast my keys. So what can I? Let's see. Casting doesn't work. Okay, well, it's with the command key, what you can do is actually you can usually when you want to select an element, what happens is, you have to open multiple folders and files to actually to get to the element. But if you hold command, you can get to a nested element that's deep in the tree. And from here, you can change a color, and that color is going to be reflected in the entire anywhere the style was shared. So let's see what's happening. Oh, okay. Well, I just updated to the latest version of. I'm not sure if Sketch is playing me a trick here. Okay, let's try this. So some user did report that with El Capitan there are some issues. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I'll try again. Okay. So something must be wrong with just the way this was rendered. Okay, all right. I want to show you something that is kind of cool, especially if you are prototyping an idea and you really need to get some quick data very fast. You see here, you have a bunch of pictures available, and sometimes what happens is you have to go to there are a bunch of websites for personas where you can go and download the pictures of different individuals that they've decided to share them freely. But Sketch has a lot of built-in plugins. So in Sketch, there is this plugin called Content Generator, and what you can do with this plugin is you can select as many images as you want. Oops. And you can replace the photos. So let's say, oh, that didn't work. Let's see what's the issue is here. I think something must be wrong with this document itself. Let me try something different. Okay. Oh, now this certainly works. Okay. Okay, nice. So as I was saying, there's Sketch has a lot of powerful plugins. One of my favorite plugins is the content generation one. And what we can do here is we can very easily create, let's see, where is this? Photos. Huh? Yeah, that's right. Neutral, I want to be neutral. Okay, well, that didn't come out very nice. This is kind of surprising. Okay, what is this? All right, this might be a little better. So one of the great things about sketches, and I'm going to undo this, is that a lot of the input boxes here, they're actually you can input a percentage. So let's say you have several elements and you want to scale this to 50%. It actually did create a square because you have the width and the height were locked. But if I want to you can do 100%, and this is you can do other operations like division. So you can imagine how this, especially if you're working on a large project and working with grids and layouts, how this can really help you because you'll be able to align elements more easily. The other thing that's awesome about Sketch is when you start moving elements, you have these very helpful kind of distance guides. So you always know how far you are from another element. Something that's really helpful is if you want to duplicate an element and you want to repeat this process multiple times, you can hold Option and position the element where you want it. And then if you press Command D, you can replicate this step. So if you have a number of rows with a bunch of information, you can select all of these layers and you can create a nice list. So let's see if we're going to have more if this is going to work here with this. So what I'm going to do is I will try to let's see here. So I'm going to just delete these guys. And what I'll try to do is I'm just going to drag this down here, and I'm going to do. So you can easily see how powerful this is if you want to replicate a lot of different elements.
Todor, you're demoing this on a Mac. Is this available for PC also?
Unfortunately, it's not available for PC. And I don't think that it will be available anytime soon. But I think that the company is making strides in creating some sort of creating new features in the app that actually would allow you to explore the designs on Windows. Just preview them, not edit them, but just preview them. There was a hand there.
Yeah, the duplication that you did just now, does duplication happen in the nested cell? So can you do that duplication and nested objects?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just you asked me if we can duplicate a bunch of elements that are grouped together. Or yes. Was that it? That's what so originally I showed how we can replicate one element, and then I demonstrate how we can duplicate a bunch of them.
But those elements are nested.
They're nested, yes. Yeah. And the other thing is that, you can, so the very interesting thing is that when you're working on a new project, you have to you have to prototype things. You have some sort of a concept. And I very often say, before you actually get into Sketch, it's very helpful if you sketch on paper initially. I'm not sure if many of you know, but IDEO and Google Labs, they have a lot of frameworks about ideation. And after the presentation, perhaps I can share some links. But I'm not sure how many of you have heard of the design sprint, or how many are using design sprints. Have you guys heard of that? Running design sprints, a 5-day process where in the beginning a lot of different stakeholders get together in the room and they collaborate and they prototype and they try to ideate and create as many different concepts before actually a single line of code is written. Because the benefit is if you prototype, if you try to if you're trying to if you have some sort of an idea and you think that you can make an app that will bring you a lot of money, very often people spend months developing these apps, and at the end there is no result. So what the prototypes allow you to do is, the many prototypes you do, and the more you put these prototypes in the hand of users, the more feedback you can get, so that at the end your product, whatever you're creating, is going to be based on a lot of people's feedback. So you can also select a bunch of elements and just create some sort of grids like that. And the plugin that I demonstrated, it works for few elements, but actually works for a lot. So if you wanna let's see, personas, photos. So you can see how it can generate a lot of static content. Perhaps if you're creating a photo app or something like this, you can fill it with dummy content very quickly. There are also other plugins, and I want to go back to the website here. And we have created this plugins explorer where you can, if you're looking for images for photos, you can find what plugins you can use for that. Layouts, content, alignments. So we've organized all of these plugins very nicely, but it takes a long time to actually select the plugin, because most of these pages, they actually lead to a GitHub page where you have to download this thing and then you have to manually install it. A very helpful software is Sketch Toolbox. What Sketch Toolbox allows you to do, and it's, let's see. Sketch Toolbox allows you to do is to install all of these, a bunch of plugins automatically. So they're just managing the whole plugins process, and you can very easily uninstall something, and they also update your plugins very, they just update the plugins for you. So how are we doing on time? Okay. Sorry, guys. Apparently today I feel like a little bit out of it. It's I'm not performing at my best. I'm not sure why am I stressing for this, because this is what I, breathe and eat all the time. So to show you something that you might have not used, or to show you something that kind of is gonna make you very happy, is when you're generating assets for for mobile devices, there is a lot of different screens and sizes. So this is kind of one of my new favorite plugins. And what this plugin allows you to do is very similar to this plugin. What it allows you to do is it allows you to set constraints on certain elements, and those constraints are based on the parent. What this means is that if you expand the screen or prepare the screen for different dimensions with several, so I'll just demonstrate how this works. So sketch constraints, edit constraints. So here you can see that this time has I've said that I want to have this element aligned horizontally, and I've established a constraint from the top. So all of these elements, you know, the battery, all the different indicators, they have set constraints. So the best part, and what I'm going to show you, is that the content just fills to the appropriate space. So you design it once, you set those constraints, and then very easily the content aligns perfectly. And this flow it will be probably familiar to people who are working with interface builder in Xcode, because in Xcode, when you're creating different elements and you want to make the application work on iPhone 5, 6 Plus, you need to set these things and be mindful of the different sizes. So in Sketch, if we pretend that this is something that we want to, if we want to pretend that this is something that we actually want to develop in different dimensions, what you could do is you could create a page. You can select different artboards. So for 5, 6, 6 Plus, iPad, and then this design that has already these preset constraints with this plugin. What you can do is you can select them, paste in each of these screens. So it was designed by default for 6, and for iPad. Oh man, it's doing it again. All right. And then just with one shortcut, everything kind of fills the screen very nicely. Sure, yes. Yeah. So here's what we did. We have, I'm going to go back from the beginning. So we have this view, and we have all of these different layers here. And each of these layers, I'm using these constraints plugins. Each of these layers has, we've established some sort of constraints, how we want the interface to be, to reflect based on the sides of the screens. So after all is done and set, we pasted this design in the different screens, and then the shortcut is Command and L. And you can see how everything is kind of aligned very nicely. Very powerful plugin. Okay, let's see here. All right. I'm going to go back to the Mail app to show you some other things. Oops, what is Kevin? Okay. So I think this feature is really important. Like, imagine that you have a very large project that you are working on, and it's very important that when you sketch it on paper, actually, before you start into Sketch, you can think about a lot of the elements that are going to be common. So the header, different buttons, you have secondary, primary, tertiary, different backgrounds. The same can be applied just as easy as I can change, as easy as I can change the colors here. I can do the same thing with text if a style has been defined. And unfortunately, I don't think we have done that. But we can, we can obviously do it, right? So by using Command and Shift, you can see how this element is, actually these elements are not, so I can select as many of these, and I can apply a new create text style. So now, if we change the background, the color of the font, you can see that it changes for all elements. And now this style can be shared with other views. The part, it's very similar to, it always reminds me of how style sheets work. So if you have experience working with styles, it's very similar. But now this is actually brought into your design. You can, of course, yes. So this is actually, there is a bunch of plugins there, so you can export it as HTML, but there's also some plugins. They're very extensive. The best part about Sketch is that it has a very open plugins community. So there is a way if you wanna create Sketch plugins, it's very easy, and there are a bunch of people who have created different ways for you to export it. So that's extremely easy, and this is probably something I should point out. When you're designing an app like this one, what you can do it at the end, what I do is I have my assets presented, and I just take it from just different views. I take assets, and then this is probably the best part of Sketch is you can select all of these assets, and you can make them exportable at different for different screens. So it's very important the screen that you're working at. So if you're working at 1x, then it's very easy for you to, if I wanna, so let's say that I wanna, so these are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is, we have 16 assets here, and now I can export all of them, and you would see that all of these assets are actually, I can hand those to developers. So you can see how here, like very easily, we're able to generate all of these assets. So you don't have to you don't have to cut the assets exactly. What is very important is that you actually are establishing some sort of boundaries. So if you look at this element here, you can see that it has the shape, but also it has a box behind it. So if you're working, my advice for everyone is to work at 1x, because then it's very easy to just to do the math and produce the rest of the assets. Okay, so we did this. I think that we should really probably move to prototyping by now. So let's see. So how many of you have have created mobile prototypes? Oh, okay, I see. So typically, how many prototypes for one project have you guys created? Less than 10? Less than 10? Okay, I see. Less than 5? One prototype? Nobody has done one prototype for? Huh? Yeah? Okay. So what is very the prototyping industry is really booming. There is a lot of prototyping tools out there, and everybody kind of may. What is a prototype? A prototype is just something that makes your idea. Product makes something that makes your idea feel real enough or testable enough so you can get feedback. If you're not planning to get feedback from your prototypes, then you're really, the moment they're done, you're really wasting your time. A prototype should take a fraction of the time that it would take you to create a real product. And with Sketch, Sketch makes this so much faster because there is a lot of plugins that integrate with different prototyping tools. So you might have used some of these tools on the screen. There's a lot of them. And there is a website, prototypingtools.co, where you can see a bunch of prototyping tools, and they're compared based on price, based on features. It's just a great website to check out. Now, all these prototyping tools, I think, in my opinion, are divided into two categories. You have those prototyping tools that are image and artboard based. What this means is that when you have an app with different views, just like the one that I demonstrated, what these softwares do is when you can upload a bunch of images in them, and then you can select different areas that you can interact with to go to the next flow. And this might be fine. You know, if you have you can actually prototype extremely fast because you're only concerned about the general interactions. Because the interactions between different screens, you can have a flip, you can have a slide, appear, disappear, a bunch of these effects. And there are these other prototyping tools where you actually have a timeline. You can have different elements coming at the screen at different times. So those definitely look more realistic, but they take more time, respectively, to create. So I want to show you some of these tools. Okay. So how many of you have used InVision before? Oh, wow, a bunch. What about Principal? Oh, nice. I mean, just a few there. Yeah, because it's a pretty new product, actually. It's really cool. Have you guys heard of if this, then that? All right, it's a really cool app. So this is the app that I'm referring to here. If you haven't downloaded this app, you should check it out. It has very interesting onboarding process where there are a lot of moving elements on the screen. On SketchUp sources, we have a blog post that compares all of these different. We have all of these 8 different prototyping tools. The blog was created by our friend Tess Matt, and he actually has some videos. He shows how the original app works, and then he recreates. He's then recreating the same animation in these in several different Proto.io, Pixate, Framer, Origami. I mean, you can read it yourself. So, without further ado, I just wanna show you this this little prototype here. So maybe what would be best is if you actually see how the real app, how it's supposed to work. So when you enter the app, there is this sliding that happens so you're exploring the different features and how actually the app works, and you can see how intricate this is. So imagine that you can simply have these separate screens, and you can place them in those image and artboard based prototyping tools, but you're going to get your point across for the first version, but it's not going to look it's not going to look as fancy and refined as your final product. And I just want to open here Principal and show you how the same. Let's see here. We have a lot of images that I created. Okay, actually. All right, so those that have some experience with Flash or some movie editing apps, they'll probably, they'll feel right at home because here you have different. So all of the elements that you can design with Sketch, these elements you can grab them and you can import them into Principal, and then you can set different different settings for their movement, for their appearance. So I just want to show you how this works. So this is the view here, and as you scroll, you can see how you can see how intricate this is. So the way this was achieved is, I think the creator Tess, what he did is, I think he took some he recreated the interface in Sketch, cropped some of the, got some of the assets, imported them here, and then he was just like able to animate. And all of these tools, they have very good, they have extremely good resources. So you can go and you can, if you go to our website, and you can definitely not only learn about the difference, but you can also see, you know, how much they cost, what are the pros, what are the cons, and all that. So I highly suggest you to go and check out this post. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to create, we're going to go back to the mail app for the sake of time. How much time is left? 10 minutes? Okay, plenty of time. And what we're going to do here is we're gonna create a simple prototype. How many of you have used Marvel? Okay, so okay, let's see. I wanna. So InVision, most of you actually have done InVision and less in Marvel. So why don't we actually do this in Marvel? So if we go to sketchup.com and you go to the community, you'll see a bunch of apps that Sketch has integrated, and Sympli hopefully soon is going to be one of those apps that you're going to see here. They also have a Sketch plugin. I've already installed the Sketch plugin for Marvel. And what this allows me to do is, after I'm done with the design, I can simply, let me actually show you what Marvel is. So Marvel app. Marvel app is a web-based prototyping tool. I have some other prototypes here, and I have actually created this. Let's do this. We can actually create a new. And this is going to be for iPhone. And you could either, if you use some other image editing software, you can just drag your images here. Or if you have the Sketch plugin, what you can do is you can select the artboards that you want to export. Like so. And then you go to plugins, Marvel, and you can send or update selected artboards to project, and from here you'll be prompted of the size, so you got to be aware of what size you're working. And you can, so this is the new sample mail app. And almost instantly, when you come back here, you'll see the screens are appearing. So many of you have seen this, but you know, for those who are looking to prototype something quickly, this can be very powerful. Now from here you can just rearrange different screens. I think I skipped one of those screens, the intro screen. But instead of linking all of these, although this is fast, I'm going to show you how I have done this here before. So you can see the prototype, and so it you know, like you have these subtle animations, keyboard, you tap on the keyboard. So all of these, everything that you're seeing here are just basic screens. And let's say if we want to, so you can see here how I've selected, I'm in the settings now, I've selected one of the options, and if I tap on this, I can see that I can select a screen transition, the interaction that I want. So this can be controlled by swap, by hovering, by tap, and then I can select the next screen that I want to go to. So what this is actually going to allow me to do in the prototype is when I go to settings, I'll be able to turn off the switch. These are just, you know, two images that are interchanging. So when you create prototypes, it's extremely important to share it with people. So when you're evaluating these prototyping tools, a lot of them, they're producing, you need the software in order to open them, so they're not ideal. But you should definitely look at prototyping tools where you can share the prototype with a link, because then this link can be, if you're using user testing, or if you're depending on the service that you're using, or if you have scheduled some a session with some sort of users, you got to make sure that it's very easy for them to it's very easy for you to show the prototype. And in this case, in Marvel's case, this is very easy. You can just anybody that has just you put this in the Safari browser or any other. I think you need Safari. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that there's some issues with other browsers, but they can download the prototype and they can check it out and provide feedback. So I think there's a lot that I can show you. I'm a little bit overwhelmed. And I would like to open it to questions and answers. Yes?
So is Sketch, what was mentioned earlier is that it's sort of a substitute, an easier to use substitute for Photoshop. So is it just a design tool and then you have to use another tool to do the prototyping itself, or?
Yeah. So yes and no. It depends on what you define as a prototype, because Sketch has this app called Sketch Mirror. You can install it on your phone, and you can connect your the artboards you've created with the app itself. And technically, you can just with the swiping motion, you can preview a lot of your screens. But fundamentally, in its core, Sketch it's at this stage of development doesn't have prototyping capabilities. The one thing that's really awesome is that there's a lot of available plugins, and you can do awesome things like instantly generating information. There's another plugin that I didn't show you, but imagine that you're working for some of the like you're making a dealer app, and you need the logos of some vehicles. So or any company. So there is this plugin here called Company Logo Fetcher. Imagine how useful this would be if it was in Photoshop. So right here we can just say Tesla Motors. So the logo is there. All right. Or let's see if this is actually. Let's do I don't know, Ford. Okay. And so on. So. And then let's say that let me do a third one. Let's say, I don't know, Toyota. No, somebody said you're stealing. All of these are coming from the from their website. So we can, to all of these elements, we can apply very quickly a border. So let's say this border. And then let's say that I kind of over-answered your question, but you can see there's a lot of small things that are just meant for, from the ground up. Sketch has been built for UI design and prototyping, but helping you get faster to the prototypes, just because you can do things quicker. I mean, for instance, if we want to, and this is kind of, maybe you want the personas. Maybe you're wondering what you want to create some sort of persona case and about who might be driving these vehicles, and we can use the we can use the generator, and then with just a few simple clicks, it's starting to get interesting. Maybe we can set name here. And now we can We can duplicate this a few times, select it, use the plugin so it has names, a lot of, all right. And then when this happens, you just have to, you know. Yes, go ahead.
So it's really nice that you can, pull the pictures
Mhm.
dynamically from the internet. What about, can it use photos in your directory locally? Like, I have a directory that stores a lot of my photo assets.
Mhm.
Just point to that directory.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's very easy. You can just, you can just drag whatever you need. You can open those elements here. Like you can just go anywhere you have image. I mean, these are kind of small, these icons. These are just the assets that we generated. But, you can use any of the images that you have available. And also it works with SVGs.
So
And
it's
when,
sort of like manually, you have to add one at a time, not like how you import the image dynamically from the web or those.
so, I mean, it depends on it depends on the case. Like, are you saying like you have a lot of images that that are local and you just want to use those images to populate into some
Right.
preset? Yes, I think there is let's see, I think there is a plugin for that. I mean, there is almost a plugin for anything. It just is probably going to look at some I haven't seen this, but I wouldn't be surprised if you can actually do it. Yes.
I was going to answer a question.
Mhm.
There's actually a plugin, I think it's like on your own site.
Mhm.
You can get JSON files from your developers, pull stuff from a JSON file.
Yeah.
in your sketch.
Yeah.
And since I'm sorry, I'm gonna pop in here, and since we're actually on the plugins, I actually wanna do a shout out. There is a plugin developer here tonight has made some awesome plugins. So Anthony, just raise your hand. He made a plugin called Nudge It. Has anybody used it? Oh, yeah, someone has used it. But if you're interested in maybe how plugins get developed, a lot of people develop plugins in the community. There's a lot of articles that have been written about it. People showing tutorials of how to do it. And so if there's something that maybe you're looking to do and you don't find a solution, maybe you can contribute to the community and try it yourself. But talk to Anthony, maybe he could give you some pointers on that. Sorry, I steal the show.
No, I mean, probably do it better than I will. Any other questions?
I have a question regarding to the subversion that you mentioned. So every time I hit a save or something, it make like a breakpoint and record a new version. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So,
And my question is, for me, like I'm honestly don't know in which version I did what. So how can I roll back to this version? Is there any kind of differentiator, like a name, or I can give it a title? Or something?
I think at this time it's just because it's using it just, you have to know the time, unfortunately, or the approximately when you made those changes. But there is, you can visually scroll through the different you can kind of scroll through the different versions. Let's see here. Browse all versions. This is what you're referring to, right? So right here there is a timeline. Unfortunately, it doesn't have names yet. But if you come here, that's kind of interesting, right? I mean, this was, you can actually interact with both of these and you can explore them. So it's kind of very powerful.
Nice feature request.
And the other question is regarding to if you have a team, and do you have like a way to share one file with different person?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, you can obviously share files, but if you have multiple people working on it at the same time, there are going to be some conflicts. And it's a known pain, it's a known issue, which I hope they will address in the future.
Solutions coming soon.
What I tend to do is I have a master sketch file in my own current version, and and that's how you can try to use Bitbucket or GitHub or any other version control system, but it's actually because you have all of these different pages, nested elements, there is not a straightforward way to merge things. Questions? Okay. Well, thank you, guys.
Okay, bear with us 1 second. We're going to swap computers here, and then Max is going to tell us about Sympli. How is the sound in the back? Can you guys hear okay?
It's pulling out everything before the
I know.
I covered in the vicinity. Yeah, I think that's one, right?
That's it, yeah. This should pick up.
I don't know. Huh? Yeah, I'm good. So.
All right. All right, make yourselves comfortable again, and we will get back to we'll get started up again. Okay, next up. I know I'm gonna butcher this, so I apologize ahead of time. Max, did you come to you?
Yep. Correct.
He is the founder of Sympli, which is a plugin to Sketch, which we were just learning about plugins. So he's going to tell us a little about his company, what the product they have, and how it helps designers, developers collaborate.
So, yeah, hi. I'm Max, and well, I'm founder of Sympli, and Sympli is not just a plugin for Sketch. It's a little bit more complicated thing, and it's a little bit weird for me to speak while I'm sitting, like I feel like I'm playing piano. So yeah, Todor has covered like perfectly in terms of like 1 hour session how you can prototype stuff using Sketch, how can you like do the basic operations, and how can you work with styles and symbols and stuff like that. And I'm not a designer, like starting first thing first. I'm a mobile developer, and I figured out that like working on the mobile apps, I'm going through the same issues over and over again. And not only me as a developer, but also designers are going through the same issue over and over again and spend time. So that's the list of the apps I have something to do with. Like I've been a lead developer at the Washington Post mobile department, and I was responsible for delivery of their tablet Android apps for a while. And so yeah, here's the story. At some point, your design mockups has been approved, and probably somebody at the same time was working, some development team was working on the wireframed app, and now it's time to apply the final design to the app. So wireframe app is up and running, so feature complete, and so on and so forth. Hold on. So yeah, and now we come to the stage when user designer have to hand off design or UI mockups to developer. You have multiple like options how to do that. you can create a, like if you are very organized designer, you will create a blueprint document, like visual spec, red line document, whatever you call it. You will generate all assets properly, name them properly, place them in the proper folders. You will not forget about custom fonts if you used any in the app. And you will place all this stuff into some well-known place where developer will easily access it and don't ask you any questions. And like you will all be happy and just do your job. Instead, like it goes, like it usually works in a little bit different way. So there is a lot of back and forth between designers and developers. And the hard thing here is that this back and forth is happening at the time when both parties are actually almost sure that their job is done, especially designers. Like, because, well, you are done with artwork, what do you want from me else? And so, yeah, things are getting even worse when you update these final design mockups. From like my experience, it happens like up to like, I don't know, 15 times during the app development thing. So now you have to communicate this update somehow to a developer. And usually if at the very beginning you placed all the design-related stuff into some well-known place, when you update one single icon, like let's say that you colored it like pink or like red, you will probably send it over, I don't know, Slack, attached to a Jira ticket, email it, like whatever. And then you will change like a couple more icons, couple more fonts. And it's up to this like guy on the right to keep track on those changes and don't miss anything. And yeah. So my personal record is like, for me, it took I think 4 working days to get the custom font from the guy at the Washington Post. It's not like his fault. He was like sick at some point, like something went wrong, like he was unavailable, yada, yada, yada. And well, yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of problem we are trying to solve here. And how we do that? We have extensions for several design tools for obviously Sketch and Photoshop too. And so the main thing we're trying to solve here, the main problem is we're trying to provide a single entry point for everything related to the design during the app development process. So by design, we mean the visual stuff, like how exact element looks like, what is the effects on the element, like what is the color, what is the font, what is the, I don't know, dimension, what is the offset, like what is the asset for this particular button, or like you name it. So for designers, we generate, our plugins are collecting the meta information from Sketch and Photoshop documents. So this makes possible for us to generate dynamic blueprints, visual specifications, red line documents, people call it in a different way. We generate assets automatically, and we also collect custom fonts from designer's machine in cases when it's possible. Such cases are when you have these fonts in OTF or TTF format. There are many other font formats, and we even created a converter to OTF and TTF because these are only 2 formats that are supported by the mobile platforms. But after we were almost about to release it, we figured out it's illegal, and so we had to ditch it. And for developers, we provide several ways to access the design. So first is our web app and extensions for Android Studio and Xcode. The good point about it is that developers don't have to have design tools. And even better point is that developers don't have to know how to use the design tools, because we usually don't. Well, it's a fact. And so dynamic specs include that, like, it's a browsable interactive thing where developers, without having a graphic tool installed or knowing how to use it, can browse through all the designs, through all the design elements, click through them, get all detailed information they need to code their app to look exactly the same way it was designed. So, and it includes information about dimensions, the information about backgrounds, fields like gradient fields, shadows, inner shadows, borders, like pretty much everything. And very important thing that all this information is already in the platform-specific units, so you don't have to convert from pixels to points, DPs, and designers don't have to spend time doing that as well. So ready-to-use assets and custom fonts, if any. So we check against the list of the supported fonts on the mobile platforms, and if we see that you used some font which is not supported by default by the mobile platform, so we're trying to collect it from your machine. And yeah, and we generate the assets. So we scale them up and down properly. We name them properly. We place them in the proper folders, so they will never break a build for a developer, which is very important for Android platform because it's very sensitive for naming. And yeah. So for developers also, we provide integration with Android Studio and Xcode. So difference between our web app and extensions for development environments is that the last ones, they work offline, and they're integrated with the coding environment and Android and iOS project correspondingly quite tightly. So we provide extension for auto-completion stuff. I will show it in the demo later. And we provide synchronization of the assets, the visual merge dialog, so developers always know what they're gonna have in the project after they synchronize the assets from a new version of the design, and many other things. So now I'm going to show you first a demo how it looks like, and then we're gonna get to our experimental feature, which requires a hard hat. So here's Sketch, pretty much the same thing. So there. So that's the app. That's the mockup I downloaded from SketchUp sources. Thank you guys for that. So this design has several artboards. So to share this design with the developer, you need to install our plugin, and when you fire our plugin, it shows you the list of the projects you have in our system in Sympli. And these projects, they have already meta information about what kind of project it is. Is it iOS, and what is the baseline resolution for the design? So knowing that, our plugin knows how to upscale and downscale the assets and how to generate proper metrics in a platform-specific units. So that's Android project, and it's MDPI. So when you export the stuff, we automatically collect all the meta information, creating the assets and upload it to our cloud. And after it's being uploaded, all you need to do is to send this link to a developer. And in at least 95% of the cases, that's it for you. And I think it's great, actually. So here, how it looks from developer's side. So this screen is still being updated a little bit. It takes a little bit time. We are in the beta. We are working on the performance, but we're gonna be there soon. Here it goes. So yeah, if you click on any single element here, you can get information about the position, dimensions, blending mode. If it's a text label, it's gonna have information about font, its style, alignment, color, alpha channel, and stuff like that. So, and developers can quickly copy the corresponding values into the clipboard here. So here is the asset browser. It's also a very important thing. When you're a developer and you see the design for the first time, usually the mobile app, it has around 40-ish, 30, 40-ish pictures of different resolutions. And usually they're pretty tiny and small pictures, and you have no idea what is the naming convention designer used, and you have to go through all of them and figure out which one stands for which element in the design. So here you have visual representation of wherever every single asset is, and it works like both ways. So you can click on the asset here to get it to receive its name, or like you can go through the list of the assets and get the asset here. And if it's hard to see on the transparent background, you can change it, which is also a pretty handy feature. So here's the list of the fonts that can be downloaded if they were provided. So I don't have these fonts on my machine, like in OTF format, so that's why they were not picked up. But if they are presented, they are downloadable from here. And here's the color palette that is automatically generated based on the colors used in the design. In the next release, we're going to introduce a feature which is called the brand book, which is very important for the product companies. Usually product companies, they have like well-known names for the colors, and they have like predefined set of the fonts they always use. So we will have this thing, like for instance, like black is for Uber is not black, it's Uber black. And so they will have this mapping, so they will speak like same language. And there is a like nightmare mode for, I don't know, for advanced users. If they want to go through the layers hierarchy, they can do that. We have support of the annotations, of design annotations here. So you can place a new one, like that's a small like discussions thing that can be displayed on the right on the design. So here it is. In case you need to provide some like additional information, or you need to provide a link, I don't know, to some UX prototype on how it animates and so on and so forth. You can access, developers can access activity history on each particular screen, version history, and compare several versions with one with another. So my latest versions, they are all the same, but like if they would be a little bit visually different, so on the preview, you can at least at some degree tell like what has changed. And yeah, it's shareable from here. You can send the sharing URL to somebody. And once developers accept the sharing URL, all the updates will be delivered to them automatically. So yeah, here is our plugin for, and yeah, so for developers, it's also a very important thing that normally people don't code their apps as a one single huge view. So you split the screen into the subviews. And we have no idea how you do that. Like based on the design we have, like the sketch design, it's not necessarily grouped in the same way you're gonna code it. So we have like a very high-end tool that changes the beginning of the axis to the custom position. So once you have like multi-view hierarchy, you can set the beginning of your view you're working on to whatever position you want, which is very important. And in terms of browsing capabilities, our plugins for Xcode and Android Studio are very similar to the web app. But what we have here is things like that. So if you merge assets into your project, you have on the left, you have your current state of the project. On the right, you have what you will have after you merge the stuff. So here we can see that like one icon has been changed, the color has been changed. So we know what, as developers, we always know what's going to happen after we drop this folder into our project. So currently you have to, especially for Android, like you have no idea because you have like pretty deep hierarchy of the folders in a drawable directory. Like you don't, it's very hard to tell like what exactly has changed. Yeah, and we also provide extensions for hold on, for the code completion. For instance, if we select element here and try to edit anything related to the position or dimensions of the element in the layout editor, we'll be prompted with value of the corresponding element. And this value will be prompted with respect to the like ruler tool where it's positioned right now. So like it's saves time on the copying and pasting of the stuff. Same auto-completion stuff works for the color when you edit the color, the first colors you will be prompted with is the colors of the project palette. We have tools for synchronization of the colors information for Android Studio, for Android projects, fonts information, and we also have a messaging support right here. So once there will be a new message posted for the design, you'll get a notification right in the Android Studio. And we have experimental feature on the generating style code for the text labels. So if designers created a very funky dynamics text label that has like multiple shadows, inner shadows, borders, which are not supported by default by Android. So we generate a pretty huge bunch of code, which could be at least a good reference for a developer to where to start with, not to like write a lot of the boilerplate code. And what else? Yeah. So that's like the list of the fonts in Android Studio. That's the color palette. That's layers hierarchy. And in the very beginning, there is asset browser that shows you where exact assets are. So yeah, having this tool, you always have access to the up-to-date designs. You don't have to ask where the latest version is, and you always can figure out at least like most of the information you need as a developer yourself without like having this back and forth communications. And yeah, back to hard hat area. So that's what we're working on. So please don't judge the mockup too much, too hard. It's like it was created by the very talented designer who is not a designer at all. But so here's the idea. So on the right is our plugin for Xcode. On the left is an interface builder and the storyboard open there. So that's how the process of the styling of the app will look like very soon. And speaking about the constraints plugin Todor was talking about, we do work on support of it. So it will also respect the constraints. So it's going to be like even easier for iOS developers to apply the design. So if you checked out the pictures thing, so when somebody dragging the image view, so at the same time, we are synchronizing the corresponding asset from the design into your project, into a set catalog in iOS. So it's like very transparent and like fast thing to do. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, I guess. I mean, there is nothing you cannot do here like manually now, but to style, for instance, this particular storyboard in the same way it was styled in the design, you would spend probably like 20 minutes or so. Here it was done like in, I don't know, one less. So yeah, that's the point. Like I figured out that we both, like designers and developers, they spend too much time on this pretty straightforward actions that like they are not creative at all. Like you just need to pass the design, hand off the design, and implement it. And like this is not something challenging. It's just like a routine stuff that can be simplified and a little bit straight and forward. So that's what we're trying to achieve here. Currently, we are in a public beta, and we've been there like for a couple of months. We have like quite an amount of users, and we receive a lot of feedback. But like as every single product, we need better users, and we need more feedback. And the good thing about it is that we are like soon we're gonna send an email about and make a blog post about the thing we are running now. We need feedback, so everybody who will provide us a feedback on our tool will get a Play Store or iTunes gift card, and like that's how we trying to say like thank you to our users. And another good thing is that we are free while we are in beta, and we're gonna stay free for a limited amount of projects. Most likely it's gonna be one. And we are working on a lot of new features like programmatic generation of the views based on the vector shapes. So you don't have to use a bitmap assets, but you can have like a dynamic things as a developer. So if you prefer not to use a bitmap assets, but you want to like dynamic vector views, you can do that easily. And yeah, so we save time. And trying to save money. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. And here's our website. It's sympli.io with a weird spelling. So yeah, and I would be happy to answer any questions if there are any. Yep. Currently, our most frequently requested feature is that people need to arrange artboards in the way they want and not in the way they are in their sketch file. So because people are trying to use it as also some kind of like flow tool, just to describe the flow. And currently we sort the artboards alphabetically, which is probably bad. So we are thinking of how to solve this. Not sure yet how we're gonna do that. So yeah, and well, yeah, that's it.
Any questions?
Sir?
I guess more so a statement, just saying thank you, but I've been doing this for 16 years. And with the tools that folks like you build and SketchUp and like the ability to be like a flippin' magician overnight, all the stuff that's out there, it's just, it's pretty incredible to see where the industry's come in the last decade and a half, at least for me. So, and it says something like companies like Adobe are chasing companies like Sketch. So I just want to say like, thanks to people like you, it just made my job.
Thank you. That's like why we're here. Thank you. And another thing, Galya was talking about the Sketch plugin development. Yeah, so you have like another option. Like I'm also know a little bit about plugin development, especially about the native plugin development for Sketch. So you can find my Twitter account on the Meetup page. Like just tweet me if you have any questions on how to build plugins for Sketch. I will be happy to answer and help. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah. So you were showing earlier on there was a section where you can do annotations from the developer's side.
Yeah.
How does that move happen between the developer and designer? But I think you showed like your designs automatically get created and the developer sees that. So the developer makes a comment.
Yeah, that's like. That's not necessarily developer can start making the comments. Designers also have access to our web app. So like it's some kind of small chatting, like messaging thing inside of the tool. Yeah. And also soon we are planning to add ability, like you can do this now with the messaging, but soon we're gonna have like a integration with a link. We're gonna have links to the prototyping tools, so developers can, like if you as a designer configured the link to the prototype, to the UX prototype, so we as developers, we know like how to code this properly. And yeah. Yep. We're gonna add this. It's like people are so like people have so much bravade about we integrate with Slack. It's like it's literally like 2 hours, question of 2 hours of work. Yeah, we will add this soon. Well, probably 4. I mean, we did that. Like we have like a lot of Slack integration internally. We have like all error messaging stuff like from Slack coming to from our and coming to Slack. It's really easy. Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your integration with tools like
Jira. You can include the link to Sympli in Jira. We are not planning any deeper integration with issue tracking system so far because, well, the main reason for that is that we don't see how we can do it like really nicely, but we are very open for the feature requests. And if you have an idea how it will like work good to play well together, I'll be happy to hear that. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
swap out the computer again. If you haven't already put your name in the raffle box, this would be a really good time to do it. Last call. There we go. So, if you would like to tweet about any of the folks that have been speaking tonight, everyone's Twitter handles are up here, including mine and Will's and the groups. Please feel free to do so. We love Twitter. Huge thank you to Galya and Todor and Max. John, is John still here? Still around? There he is. Yeah. Dude, food's gone. They just killed it.
Was it enough? More next time?
I think we could do maybe a little bit more. I mean, it was pretty much gone. Yeah. Yeah, and vegetarian. There's always vegetarian leftovers, you know. Excellent. All right, so guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The talks tonight were fantastic. It was really good stuff. It is time for a raffle. Galya, do you want to do the honors? So we're going to give away 3 copies of Sketch to 3 lucky winners. If you already have it and are feeling really generous and want to just leave it to somebody else, that'd be really cool too, but your call.
Yes, I'm really excited. Thank you guys again, and thank you for organizing. This was a real pleasure to meet the community here locally to us in the DC area. We had a blast. Hopefully, we were able to teach you. You learned about Sympli, learned a couple of tricks about plugins and Sketch and prototyping, and I just want to say thank you for sticking around. And all right, let's see. Drum roll. All right. The first one goes to little nice art on here, Chris Sullivan. Oh my God.
Chris Sullivan. All right. How do you want to do this? Do you want to? Excellent. Second name.
Ooh, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Yuruo Zhao. All right.
Excellent. Congrats.
And last one. Okay. Amy. Sewas? Sorry.
Excellent. In the back. Fantastic. Yeah.
Nice art and pretty ready. Thank you guys.
Excellent. So the 3 of you, please hook up with Galya before you leave, and she'll set you up. And if you have any feedback about NoVA UX, if you'd like to be standing up here speaking, if you'd like to sponsor pizza for your organization or Mediterranean food, if you're so inclined, we would love to hear from you. Please contact us. Thank you all for coming this evening.